expertly chosen loans from Loan Depot. You could be saving money and paying more towards the bottom line. Call a Loan Depot loan officer and ask about our 27-year smart term loan or our 10-year home loan. Get a great rate matched with a great loan by calling 866-888-LOAN or visit loandepot.com. At Loan Depot, home means everything. Rates are subject to change. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing opportunity. NMLS number 1744457. Licensed in all 50 states. Fever is the leading symptom of COVID and the flu, and the only way to reliably detect it is with an accurate thermometer. Be vigilant and be accurate with the Exergen Temporal Scanner, whose accuracy has been proven in more than 100 clinical studies. Don't rely on non-contact thermometers. They are proven to be inaccurate and will not reliably detect a fever that might mean COVID. Be sure to seek medical advice at the first sign of fever. Learn more at exergen.com.
Expect open lines. Monica is in Oregon on Coast to Coast, and I say go Ducks.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Hey, how are you doing tonight? Hey, I think you know that you played David Bowie's The Underground song here just a few minutes ago.
It's been a while.
I know, right? That's funny. We're having to have some plumbing work done, and I was giving the plumber a bad time, like, get through the labyrinth. That was
funny.
Funny.
Yeah.
I wanted to set us in the mood for Thanksgiving.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so I just wanted to brag about what I like to do.
Okay.
Is that I like to get our turkey going here the night before. I like to bake it with butter, rosemary, sage, and thyme. Get her in the oven.
Yeah.
And then, all through the night, the house permeates with that
Okay.
sense of turkey going. And
What do you cook it at? You're doing the low and slow method. What do you go? What's the temperature?
We will set the temperature roughly about maybe 195 to 200 degrees roughly throughout the night.
Right. Yeah, that's a great temperature for people who want to cook low and slow, and then you turn it up later on when you're gonna really cook it up, right?
Yes, I love to, and I serve the neighbor. In need, whomever, if they don't have anything else going on, and I love the happy smiles on their faces. I just love it. And
That's delightful.
what I enjoy doing.
Well, that's a great way to get us thinking about Thanksgiving, and I love that low and slow method too, and so that's very inspiring. I hope other people think about that. Ron is in Michigan on Coast to Coast. Ron?
Hello, yes. Our Veterans Day is coming up Thursday, and in that theme, I'm giving you this call. But Colin Powell, his passing, he died of complications of Agent Orange. He could not even admit that, which could still save thousands of Vietnam veterans who may be suffering from the same things that he died of. But his career began in Vietnam. I'm a Vietnam veteran myself. He was the first officer sent to investigate the My Lai massacre.
I didn't know he was the first one. That's interesting. I know that story very well. I hadn't heard that he was the first officer on the scene.
Fact check me on that, please. But he said there was nothing wrong there. Everything was hunky-dory. Continue your genocide. A year later, a soldier who was there, he took photographs of the massacre, and they were published in Life magazine. And all the world would see that we were committing war crimes on a mass scale.
Okay, first of all, that photographer's name was Ron Ridnour. He was an Army photographer, and he had taken the photograph with his own personal camera, which he brought with him while he was shooting for the military. I don't think I see no evidence. I've studied this very closely. Where do you get the idea that Colin Powell said all hunky-dory continue with the genocide? Why do you say that?
Because the investigation went nowhere. He continued. We continued in our policy. Lieutenant Colonel Hackworth, He said, when I asked him a question about the knee line master, he said there were thousands of knee line masters.
There were.
That were never reported. But here's the thing.
Wait a second. This is really important. I think this is really good. You're talking about the Mears, you're talking about General Mears' investigation and the Mears report that came out afterwards. It came out some time afterwards, and the massacres did change Army training. And to the degree that it could, what they also changed was who could qualify for OCS. And it changed because it was recognized that Lieutenant Calley really had no right to be an authority figure because he wasn't trained well enough, and that he was too susceptible to not being able to resist an illegal order from Captain Medina. So there was a lot more moving parts than somehow Colin Powell walked in and said, yeah, keep going, because I don't think that's true.
There were, but but to continue his career, the next place I remember him turning up was in the Nixon White House at the time of Watergate. And in the book, Watergate, I forget the whole title, but by Lamar Waldron, he contends that Nixon was getting payoffs from Santo Traficante from the Golden Triangle. And Colin Powell was in that White House. Alexander Haig was there too. He said he saw the payoffs. Colin Powell didn't say anything about it. But there was a heroin epidemic going on in Vietnam. I saw it and came back to the United States. Okay, so, yeah, we can't put the finger on it. He knew about it. He covered up. He allowed heroin trafficking. But then throughout his career, covering up war crimes, allowing the Bushes to come in.
Wait, but you don't have that he covered up war crimes. I've met the guy. I'm looking at his autograph right now. I know you're convinced that he's done all these evil things, but it's all based on where he was, not what he did, and your summation from that. You may be right, but I prefer to go with evidence where we're going to accuse somebody of covering up war crimes. And he may have, but evidence is not the fact that just because he took a low position in the Nixon White House and then later resurfaced again in the Reagan administration. But I've got some other people to get to because they're hanging out, so try to get as many people as I can. Mason is in California on Coast to Coast. Mason?
Hi, I have to preface too lightweight, but I'm really into music and really talking about bumper music and such.
Good. Go for it, man.
I called earlier this year and I got nervous thinking about you were doing you did an interview with regarding a music documentary, and during open lines I was going to call, but as a radio guy, is it bad if bumper music is on point, you think?
Why?
I don't know, I just I'm sorry, I'm just nervous.
Well, no, it's okay. But why would it ever be bad that a bumper was on point? I mean, that's kind of my signature. Well,
I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. I think obvious is relative to the listener. I think that's a good point. So I always try to have a mix. The slightly more obscure, the subtle, and then a couple that are almost like, it's like a law. You kind of have to play it. So.
Do you have, on a site topic, do you have an email address for listeners?
Nope. I'm available in social media, and find me on Twitter. I've long since given up a public email address, so nope. But you can find me there, and I'd love to hear from you, and I hope I do. Let me, I got my homework set up for me already, but I don't mind following up on subjects, and I'll take a look at more of the Colin Powell stuff too after I get off the air. But let me grab who else do we have that we have time for? Pete is in Charlotte on Coast to Coast. Pete?
Hey, how you doing this evening?
Doing great. Where are you going to take us?
Hey, it was such a heavy show. I'm glad they threw a little music in. I was going to just beat the path for a second.
Go for it.
So hey, it's a suggestion for a bumper record. How about Flying Saucers Rock and Roll by Billy C. Riley? And I wanted to ask you, if somebody wanted to listen to your old air checks, what would they punch in on mine?
Good question. Well, for Coast to Coast, of course, it's the Coast Insider. If you mean from my rock and roll days, there's some stuff on YouTube from when I was at 103 KDF in Nashville. And all I can say is, don't judge me too harshly. I was having too much fun. So,
you have a very encyclopedia-like knowledge of rock and roll. See, I was there from the beginning. I'm a lot older than you guys, but I'm going to say, judging from what I heard from you, you probably came of age in the 70s, I'm going to say.
yeah, you're right on it. Yeah.
So, you've seen it all then, brother.
Well, what I haven't seen, I go back and I research and I ask older people about. So I try to add to that all the time. But thank you for the comment. Let me go to Scott, who's in India, Coast to Coast AM. Scott?
Hey, Yanni. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, man.
I want to circle back to the construction field and artifacts. And to give you a little background, I'm a 50-year-old man whose father, grandfather, and all had been in construction. And I was on a survey team for years. And to give you an idea of what truly happens if artifacts are actually found, in reality, most of the time those things are bulldozed over because the private companies don't want to shut down construction and incur the cost of that.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, cost and insurance drive so much more than most people realize. Go ahead. You had a quick thought?
Oh, no, just, I know that there's a very well-known music venue that sits on top of a former Native American village.
Right.
I've talked to one individual that one time put a bucket from a backhoe through the head of a perfect mastodon skull.
Oh, really?
That way they didn't have to shut down construction.
Right. I've heard of this. It happens in England, too, where they come across Roman sites in very compacted areas, and they know if they come across it, that means years of delay. And they'll be kicking dirt over that, like, oh, no, didn't see anything. So yeah, I've heard that to be true. I wonder how often it happens, but yes. Mike is in California on Coast to Coast to the time we have left. Mike?
Hey, Ian.
Hey.
In a while. Hey, with the Giants thing, have you looked into Gary Wayne and the Genesis 6 project?
The Nephilim? Is that what you mean?
Sorry?
You referring to the Nephilim?
Well, no, it's more than that. I mean, Gary Wayne he's a Christian, first and foremost. But he says theology and ancient mythology, and all of the ancient civilization and all that. He wrote a book. It took, I can't remember, 10 years or so or more, a few thousand pages, all footnoted. He's a great interview.
I may have interviewed him. I'm trying to remember whether I did talk to him at one point. He's a secret societies guy.
Yeah, but it's all based in Genesis 6 and the Giants.
Right.
So he's great on that. And throughout the Bible, I mean, going back to Genesis 6, they're talking about giants. So.
Well, yeah, but again, giants, you gotta be, we just gotta, it seems an odd thing to get literal over, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. I understand what you're saying.
Right.
I'm just saying,
he is a Nephilim guy. He is a Nephilim guy. So the Nephilim from Genesis 6 is kind of the origin of the giant story, too. So I'll have to look that up and first I'll have to look at talk to him. I'm so old. I don't remember. Sorry if I did. People remind me all the time about you. Remember that show you did? Nope. which is kind of glorious, which means I can do the whole show all over again and enjoy it for the first time. In case you're running on Coast Insider. But most importantly, I will look into that, and I regret not being able to get everybody on. Thank you for holding on, those who did. Open lines will come up again this time next week. I'll be back on later on this month, too, and I look forward to chatting with you. In the meantime, remember, Lisa Garr is coming up tomorrow night. She's got a very cool show, and you can find out about all the great upcoming shows, too, on Coast to Coast. And to Daniel, if he's listening in Wichita, still in my thoughts, bud. Enjoyed our conversation earlier this week on the phone. And to everybody else, Deus Tiamat, even you, Walt, and I do too. Hey, Gary, how are things?
Things are great, but I crushed my mortgage payment with Oni without even leaving my couch. I got a no closing cost refi at a great low rate, and Oni did it all in less than 3 weeks. It was easy, no muss, no fuss.
Be like Gary. Call Owning at 855-5-OWNING and crush your mortgage payment with today's 30-year fixed refi at 2.75% rate at APR with no closing costs. None. Zero. Even if you've refinanced recently, call 855-5-OWNING and let us crush your monthly payment even more. That's 855-5-OWNING or log on to owning.com.
NMLS 2611, licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act, subject to credit approval. Call 823-852-6464 for terms and conditions.
You can crush it too with a 30-year fixed 2.75% rate and APR with absolutely no closing costs.
Portions of the following program are pre-recorded.
Good morning, my early rising friends. I am Dean Sharp, the House Whisperer, custom home builder, custom home designer. Hey, it's just about 6 o'clock on this beautiful Saturday morning, and for the next 2 hours, I'm going to be here with you as a friendly voice and your personal guide to turning your ordinary house into an extraordinary home. It all gets started in just a couple of minutes, so stay tuned and welcome home. This is KFI and KOSC HD2 Los Angeles, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Indifference therapy.
KOSC HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Festival Panic. I'm Brian Bruman, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. 8 people have been killed at a music festival in Houston.
It's not the kind of event you go to where you expect to find out about fatalities. And so our focus right now is to support the families of any victims.
Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo says many other people were hurt during the Travis Scott concert at NRG Park last night. The Astro World Festival was scheduled to continue through the weekend, but organizers say the rest of the event has been canceled. Houston Police Chief Troy Finner says during the concert, the crowd surged, causing people to get hurt.
Pray for these families. I think that's very important. Everybody in our city pray for these families.
Investigators are looking at video from the venue to try and see exactly what happened. People will need to show proof they're fully vaccinated against COVID-19 to enter many businesses in LA starting Monday. This woman says she supports the new rule.
You have that extra sense of security knowing that other people that are around you are vaccinated and being in a space that makes you feel a little bit better about it.
The new rule applies to many businesses, including movie theaters, restaurants, and shopping centers. LA says enforcement of the rule will start on the 29th. Thousands of Kaiser Permanente employees in Southern California could be walking off the job November 15th.
The vice president of the union representing healthcare workers, Charmaine Morales, says members are frustrated.
Our members are ready to do what it takes, and we knew it was time to give that notice.
The union says the hospital is offering much lower wage increases than it proposed. The vice president of Kaiser says they are faced with the challenge of rising healthcare costs, and that wages and benefits make up half of Kaiser's operational costs. The hospital says it thinks a deal can be reached, and the strikes can be avoided. Blake Trolley, KFI News.
Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who has COVID-19, says he's feeling better. He says he's been doing alternative treatments instead of getting vaccinated against COVID because he's allergic to ingredients in 2 of the FDA-approved shots. A Navy ship is set to be christened in San Diego as the USNS Harvey Milk, the first to be named in honor of a gay person.
A transgender veteran will christen the ship 10 years after Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed.
We have built this nation. We are part of the American fabric.
International Imperial Court System Queen Mother 1, Nicole Murray Ramirez, led the campaign and says the LGBTQ community has civil rights leaders and heroes too.
So why shouldn't schools, streets, ships, stamps be named after outstanding LGBTQ American citizens?
Ramirez says it's wonderfully ironic because today the Navy honors a gay person who was dishonorably discharged from the Navy for being gay. Milk's considered the first openly gay elected official in the U.S. He was a San Francisco supervisor in 1978 when he was assassinated. Corbin Carson, KFI News.
Nearly 100 people have been killed and 30 others hurt in an oil tanker explosion near Sierra Leone's capital. The tanker had hit another car and was leaking gas. That's when people showed up to take the gas, and during that, the tanker exploded. We are looking at some road work on the 101.
It's a full freeway closure downtown LA, both sides of the 101. Northbound side shut down from the 5 to 4th Street. That's until around 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. The southbound 101 closed from the 10 to the 5 until around 6 a.m. tomorrow. You can take the 5 or the 110 instead, but be aware, in Elysian Park now on the 5 northbound Pole Riverside Drive. There's a car fire there that's got a couple of lanes blocked. You're backed up all the way to Broadway. Alhambra, westbound side of the 10 at Fremont Avenue, crash cleared from the express lanes. The travel covering Welcome Atlantic. KFI in the sky helps get there faster on Bucky Bucky. Today on Newsmakers, we're talking with Catherine Schultz, Vice President, Tax and Fiscal Policy for the Business Roundtable. So, Catherine, there's a ton of noise in Washington right now about raising taxes on businesses. Why should our listeners care?
20 to 70% of the corporate tax burden is borne by workers through lower wages and reduced job opportunities, according to estimates by both government and academic economists. And shareholders, who include a majority of Americans, including seniors who have retirement accounts, pensions, or other investments, would see stock values decline due to lower future cash flows.
As we're starting to recover from the pandemic, would raising taxes on businesses impact America's economic trajectory?
While the economy has made tremendous progress since the depths of the pandemic, it remains on fragile ground, and everyone is not coming out of the pandemic equally. Congress should be helping to make it easier for business to invest in workers, innovation, and operations to strengthen the economy and keep America ahead of our Chinese and European competitors.
If hardworking taxpayers were to reach out to their congressman or senator, what would you want them to say?
No tax increases. Elected officials should hear directly from their constituents that tax increases on job creators will move America backwards, resulting in less job opportunities for hard-working Americans, lower wage growth, and a less competitive economy.
You can learn even more at brt.org/tax2021. Catherine Schultz, Vice President, Tax and Fiscal Policy for the Business Roundtable. Thanks for talking with us. Paid for by Business Roundtable.
Southland weather from KFI. There's a dense fog advisory near the coast and moving further inland until 10 this morning. Visibility could be down to a quarter mile, so be careful out on the roads. Partly cloudy by this afternoon, mid to upper 60s at the beaches, low to mid 70s in Metro LA and OC. Some patchy drizzle in the Metro OC area this morning, mid 70s to low 80s and sunny skies in the inland valleys by the afternoon, upper 70s to low 80s in the Inland Empire. Partly cloudy tonight. Temperatures are going to cool down slowly over the next couple days. Right now it's 55 degrees in San Clemente, 55 in Hacienda Heights, 54 in Sherman Oaks, and 54 in Pasadena. We Local, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Brian Bruman. AM 640, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Good Saturday morning to you, my friend, and welcome home. I am Dean Sharp, the House Whisperer, custom home builder, custom home designer, here for you live like I am every Saturday morning from 6 to 8, and Sundays from 9 to 11. Here to be an advocate
as you wrestle with construction issues on your home, a design mentor for you, because when it comes to transforming that place where you live, design matters most. And to be a friendly voice in your morning, especially as you take on the noble work of turning your ordinary house into something truly extraordinary. The team is assembled. Sam is on the board doing what he does. Misty, our producer, is in studio ready to take your calls when we get to that point. Also, doing double duty this morning because we're having computer issues this morning. So Misty is, of course, as always, going beyond the norm to make sure it all happens right. My best buddy in the world, my design partner, the co-founder of House Whisperer, and the person who knows where all the bodies are buried, Tina, is sitting across the table from me. Grab your mic and say hello to everybody.
Hi.
And Brian Baruman is on the news desk. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How is it going?
It's foggy out there.
It is. It is. I thought it had rained overnight when I woke up this morning because the deck was completely sopping wet. Just. And then I just realized, it's a heavy mist. Very moody, very romantic. It's my kind of autumn morning. It really is. All right, y'all. Earthquakes. That's where we're going this morning. We have not done our requisite earthquake safety and preparation program for the year, so we're doing it now. Why have I been holding off? I just figured, between wildfires and COVID and everything else that's happening in the world, why lay another thing on your shoulders of potential disaster? But the reality is, here we are living in Southern California, and we know that we're actually probably overdue for a good-sized quake. And so it is always wise, just shaking her head like, really? It's always wise for us to know what we're doing and how to get ready for it. And I know some of you are thinking, yeah, that would be helpful. So that's where we're going. It's all about earthquake prep this morning. I'm going to make it as interesting as possible and useful and as informative as possible, like always. Anyway, let's talk about personal safety. This has got to be the very first thing that I want to discuss because we need to debunk a myth. Are you ready for this? I hope so. Take another sip. You know what? I'm not going to. I'm just going to enjoy this warm beverage. Okay. And I invite you to do the same. Okay, now, are you ready? Here we go. The biggest myth that I think I encounter every time we have this conversation is about the safest place to be during an earthquake. The safest place to be. So first of all, let me just tell you, the safest place to be during an earthquake is standing out in the middle of a field. An empty field. Because, and this is the interesting thing about earthquakes, and really why we're talking about it on our program, as opposed to just, across the board. Everybody will be talking about it on KFI once one hits, as always. But why am I the one doing the prep? Because earthquakes are unique among natural disasters in that they actually need our help most of the time in order to do us harm. What do I mean by that? I mean, if you're standing out in the middle of a field when a tornado comes by, you're in danger. You could get seriously injured or killed. You shouldn't be standing outside when a Category 5 hurricane rolls into town either. You should be taking shelter. And so on and so forth. Flash floods, all that kind of natural disaster stuff. You should hide from it and protect yourself. Earthquakes are unique in that they need our help. Most of the injuries and damage that comes from earthquakes are structure related. If you're standing out in the middle of a field when an earthquake hits, worst case scenario, what's going to happen? If it's a huge earthquake, you might get knocked down. No, the ground is not going to open up and swallow you. You might get knocked over to your knees. That's about it. It's structures. The structures that we live in. The structures that we would harbor ourselves from other natural disasters in. Those are the things that cause us the greatest amount of risk when it comes to experiencing an earthquake. So, there's a myth associated with, a major myth associated with structures and where the safest place to be in a structure is. Have you heard it? I know you have. The safest place is to be standing in a doorway. Okay. It's a myth. No, it's not true. Why is that the case? I will tell you when we come back. I am so glad you joined me this morning. There is so much more to come. You're listening to Home with Dean Sharp, the House Whisperer. Brian Baruman has the news.
Well, the LA City Council has proposed a new hybrid map of redrawn boundaries for council districts with resident and council member input. Astronauts from the space station are going to have to wear diapers on their journey home this weekend because the SpaceX Dragon capsule's toilet is broken. And daylight savings time starts tonight at 2 a.m. So set those clocks back an hour, and we are having a look at traffic next.
Okay, so you're ready to build your new dream kitchen. Good for you. Good for you. But here's what you don't want to do. You know, the reason you're tearing the old one out is because, it's got design issues. It's not set up the way you want it to be. Somebody goofed. Also, it's old and outdated. So, guess what you don't want to do? You don't want to make all those same mistakes, and you don't want to make all new ones. So, you need to sit down and have a free in-showroom consultation at the kitchen store. That means you get the two things you need right out of the gate. You're going to get the creativity and the wisdom of an expert kitchen designer, and you're going to get flooded with inspiration in the kitchen store's massive 7,000 square foot cabinet design showroom. The kitchen store is right off the 405 in Culver City. For more than 50 years, it is the best place in all of Southern California to buy kitchen cabinets. State-of-the-art computer design. They have same-as-cash financing with no payments and no interest for a full year. And they've got pricing that will beat the big box centers. So, start your new kitchen right. Set up your free consult today by dialing 310-KITCHEN. That's 310-KITCHEN. And check out the kitchen store on the web at 310kitchen.com.
From the Southern California Toyota Dealers Traffic Center, we make it easy. There's a car fire on the 5.
In Elysian Park, northbound side of the 5 before Riverside Drive. Car fire in the center divider area. Watch out for some activity along the left side there. And that's actually back up all the way to Broadway. We have this closure all weekend long downtown LA as well. Both sides of the 101. Northbound side shut down from the 5 to 4th Street, and the southbound side shut down from the 10 to 5 until tomorrow. So you can take the 5 or the 110 instead. Alhambra on the westbound side of the 10 at Fremont Avenue. Fast they're being cleared up from the left side of the freeway. No lanes blocked this time. No major slowing. Just be aware of the activity as you pass by. KFI in the Sky helps you get faster. Bucky.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples Connect helps your business grow. Now get 20% off signs, banners, or posters when you spend $75 or more. Explore more at your local Staples or staplesconnect.com. Offer ends 1/1/22. Visit staples.com/services/printing for details. Staples Connect.
Whether you're vaccinated or not, it's important to know the symptoms of COVID and its variants. Fever is the leading sign of COVID and the flu, so make sure you use an accurate thermometer. Only the Estrogen Temple Scanner thermometer has been proven accurate with more than 100 clinical studies. Non-contact thermometers have no clinical evidence behind them, and you cannot rely on them. Be vigilant and seek medical advice at the first sign of fever. Learn more at Estrogen.com.
Hi, Angel. Hey, Devil. And again, calm down. She's so loud and electric toothbrushes.
It's easy to be unsafe online.
Passport info to buy a toothbrush? Oh, sounds good to me.
Now it's easy to help protect yourself. Norton 360 with LifeLock gives you a VPN for online privacy and identity theft protection. All in one. Opt in for cyber safety. Save 25% or more off your first year at norton.com/join.
No.
With energy costs rising, and temperatures getting warmer, and electric vehicles here to stay, It's surprising how many homes still don't have solar. Now, there's a lot of misinformation out there. My solar company, Sunlux, which I hope will be your solar company, has asked me to clear some of it up. So, first, solar doesn't cost you money. It saves you money. A lot of money. That's the whole point. Second, it doesn't matter where